from the messy room. It's Pop-O-Holics, show about hot takes other than hot, tasty pancakes. I'm your host in the messy room, as usual, Christian, and I'm joined by, I don't know, some guys I met on the internet.
Just some random strangers, Chris Conkling.
And Brian Dupree. Yeah, I actually hacked my way into this call, so it's nice to meet you guys.
I saw you.
Who
it was
are
actually
you
a
guys?
polymorphic.
Yes, polymorphic algorithm was used, and I just came right in the back door. Actually,
Super common.
Hold on. Type in Granborough.
Use that as the key. These are references to Skyfall, folks. We're in the middle of Bond month, so we apologize if this is making no sense.
Sorry for the video watchers, YouTube watchers. I was fake typing on my keyboard and then accidentally hit a command key that changed the screen a little bit, so I apologize for that. What is Pop-O-Holics? Well, Pop-O-Holics is the show about hot takes that are hotter than hot tasty pancakes. And what do we talk about on the show? Well, we talk about the latest goings-on in pop culture. This is a weekly upload, baby. For our YouTube watchers, you'll get Brian's Wacky News Corner, and then for podcast subscribers exclusively, we're going to get what we've been consuming and then some community feedback. And then for our main topic episodes, those come later. We are doing a Bond month, which is super fun. No Time to Pod, in honor of No Time to Die.
No Time to Pod.
We're getting Spectre coming out Wednesday, our retrospective on that, and then a No Time to Die review next week. So stay tuned for that. Hopefully our takes maybe slightly room temp by that point. Obviously a lot of people have gotten the chance to see No Time to Die. Brian, you've seen it twice now, which is pretty awesome. And hopefully I can see it this weekend. But let's delay no further. Let's jump in the way we do on the Pop-O-Holics and talk Brian's Wacky News Corner.
Welcome back to the Wacky News Corner, everyone. So I think we may have talked about this game in a small manner in the past when it was first announced.
We were in a small manner when we talked about it. It was like very regal, very palatial.
It was an Airbnb, actually reasonably priced.
More like maybe like a chateau. I don't know. How would you?
It would be like Bruce Wayne's
the building
third home away from home, the small manor.
Yeah, now that we've set the scene, Marvel's Midnight Suns has released a gameplay presentation with, I believe, one of the animators as well as one of the either producers or directors on the game, a few people associated with it.
Someone named, I do want to call this out, someone named Franchise Runner. So I'm assuming it was like Marvel Studios, the Kevin Feige of the video game Marvel, but I'm not sure.
They were probably involved with Marvel somehow, stepping in to observe what they've done with the game, you know?
Yeah, and it does seem like it's integrally tied to at least historical Marvel properties and actual, characters and runs that they've done. So this is a tactical role-playing game that is developed by Firaxis Games in collaboration with Marvel Games, obviously, and will feature a ton of characters. The conceit behind this is players will be able to create their own superhero named the Hunter with a choice of over 40 different powers. So this game is very strange in its playing style, and I'm going to give a quick synopsis before we get into that. It's based on the 1990s comic book series Rise of the Midnight Suns, which saw the collaboration of Avengers with various other Marvel Comics heroes such as Ghost Rider, but it's not going to be an exact retelling of that. Some of the characters that are playable are Iron Man, Captain America, Wolverine, Doctor Strange, Captain Marvel, Blade, Ghost Rider, Magic, and Nico Minoru. The play style of this is kind of turn by turn, kind of card based. Christian, I'm kind of going to let you hop in here because it seems new and very much not up my alley, but I'm excited to hear your takes on it because it looks like a cool game.
The more we find out about this game, the more I am so jazzed. So this comes from Firaxis Entertainment. We've talked about this a little bit when it was announced, but these are the people behind oh crap, why did it just leave me? Oh my goodness, it's out of my head. XCOM, the XCOM series, which is a really great tactics game, super hardcore tactics game. Where you are like a squad fighting off an alien invasion, and you can name your squad, and it's super dense, and it's like basically it plays like a tabletop game almost, Chris, where the gameplay plays out with there's some story that's consistent for all playthroughs, but you name your characters, they level up if they die, there's permadeath, and you're going on various missions and having to upgrade. It's a very deep game, but when you get into it, and it's very satisfying. It's very hard, but it looks like they've made quite a few distinct changes, but still with that like love of deep tactics games. And so this is one of the most exciting properties since like Spider-Man made by Insomnia. Think of like that caliber studio because I do believe we're dealing with that caliber studio in tactics games, only rivaled by maybe the Fire Emblem people. And they're approaching a Marvel thing, and some of the stuff they announced here just put a lot of fears at ease that a lot of people have. Chris, I'm mostly interested in your take on this game because you're someone who's hesitant to this series, but you love Marvel. I'm curious to see, did you watch this, and do you have any reactions to this update and seeing the gameplay? And yeah.
So I'm glad you asked, Christian. I'm glad you're so excited about it. I'm also really happy to hear that Brian said that it's really not up his alley, because I thought I was going to be the wet noodle here in this episode today. I was excited for this game when they released the teaser trailer at, was it E3 a couple months ago, I believe? That's when we talked about it last?
I believe it was Gamescom. I believe it was the games showcase for the Jeff Keighley thing of a jig.
Yeah, so we covered the teaser trailer when it first got released, and this was solely just like CG, no gameplay at all. But like as Christian mentioned, I'm a big Marvel fan. Obviously, loyal listeners already know that. So I was excited about the prospect of like getting a video game where we get to play as the Midnight Suns, because like all the supernatural elements of the Marvel universe are really cool and interesting. And watching those characters team up with the Avengers always lend for interesting dynamics and power sets to be combined. But I have to tell you, after watching this presentation and watching the gameplay footage, I'm really not interested whatsoever in playing this game. I'm so alone in what I'm about to say, and it's going to sound insane. They lose me at the character creation. The fact that our main character is not like a set in stone character for the narrative, it loses me. And the reason being is because I know Christian's, our watchers can see Christian's face right now. Hopefully he is shocked. And that's because I always spend so much time on the fucking character creation page, and the characters, every time I try to create somebody, they never end up looking human whatsoever. So
Chris,
I'm the guy that plays
the problem is that Chris doesn't know what people look like.
You ruined.
I'm people blind.
You ruined my button, Chris. I was gonna say, oh, excuse me. What were we talking about like a couple months ago? What's your favorite RPG of all time?
Mass Effect, and I use the default Shepard in that game. I've never customized Shepard.
Use the default.
In fact, I customized Shepard once, and I ended up restarting the game because I didn't like the way he looked. So
I'm sure there's a default Hunter.
Maybe I'm looking for a canonical look for Hunter, just like the Shepard that I use is the canonical look for Shepard. If they were ever to make a Shepard movie, or if Mass Effect movie, it would probably either look like the Femme Shep or the male Shepard. That's all I'm saying. I know people love character customization. It helps pull you into the game. I hope I don't sound like a psychopath. Christian dropped out for a second there. He's so startled. But yeah, the game lost me at what would certainly be the opening settings of the game. And then we get into this more tactical-based gameplay, and I would just prefer a more linear narrative game. So I'm really excited for it to come out so Christian can play it, and then he can tell us about it. I will probably watch...
Did we lose Chris?
Yeah, looks like we got static Chris here.
Shoot.
Very sad because I have thoughts.
Did you just boot me from the episode, Christian? Brian, do you have anything to add about this Midnight Suns video game?
I'm going to let Christian respond to what you were saying first, because I think I feel similarly. Once the deeper games go in terms of customizations, playing styles, and different mechanics, I'm just not a very great video game player. I'm not experienced enough. So I end up getting frustrated, getting 10 hours into the game and to a boss that I can't beat. So this is just not my style of game, really. I'm not very good.
Before Christian interjects, I do want to say, oh man, this is also going to sound like a very old man. There was a time in my youth playing video games where I didn't mind character customization. In fact, I was all about it. But I got shit to do. Like, I don't want to spend 30 minutes customizing a character before I'm even getting into the game as an adult.
Like, pick here. Can I simplify your life? Choose a gender, choose a haircut, and get on with the game. It's like you're like, but then you're like, oh, I just get frustrated. I obviously your feelings are your own. Here's what I'll say about the choice that I love. is what the game is attempting to do. Obviously, I can understand, like, I'm surprised your pushback isn't just on the mechanics, which I think if you just let yourself get into it, I think it'd be cool. They're going for this card-based thing, and they diffused a lot of my concerns with that. I was actually scared that it was going to be a microtransaction trap.
Like Chain of Memories.
Yeah, but
Kingdom Hearts Chain of Memories.
And they went out of their way to specify that none of the growth of the game would be based in microtransactions.
And that, like,
that is a positive.
Your move set is like, you'll see the same cards. It's not like, oh, I didn't get anything to do. It's like, no, all these work, and it's really just to mix up the gameplay. And these people are very, very smart at these types of games. I imagine it's going to be very, very fun. Obviously, having not played it, but from people that did play, IGN had like a first look, and they're like, "Oh, it totally works," and it feels natural. It feels different than XCOM, but it feels cool. Just the way you can interact with the environment, the way that like you build up for this like hero meter, the abilities look amazing. I love the game's art style.
The game does look really good.
The art style is really cool because it's not going for over realism, but it's not necessarily super cartoony. It's like this really great fine line. I appreciate that that's different thematically. It feels very comic booky. It lets me accept how ridiculous and cool comic books can be. So I love the art style. So all that's working. I love that they're taking so much time to focus on the Abbey, which is why I'm surprised that you're not in love with this concept, which is like you have to make choices to like who you befriend and what you do with all of them. And they built this big open world, so it's not just like these menus you're clicking through of everything. So it seems very thought out. There seems to be love and care that in so many of these gotcha mobile games I'm just over, even though I like tactics games. So like this is a dream come true because I've played a lot of these Marvel tactics games just because I love tactics and I love Marvel, and I'm like, I want you to be good, and it's always like, well, you have to wait 15 hours unless you give it $10, and I'm like, I hate you. So this is like a dream come true for me. On the point of the character creator, Chris, the reason I like that the Hunter is not a canonical character is that that lets it be an RPG, right?
Right.
It's technically not like some people think, oh, skill trees make an RPG or like building up your character. It's like, yes, that's part of it, but role-playing
is the most important part of an RPG, a role-playing game.
And as a D&D fan, you know, it's really interesting that you have so much pushback on this, because what it allows is it allows you to live in this Midnight Suns universe and talk to who you want, be the hunter you want to be, without being tied to, well, the hunter wouldn't do that because the hunter was in issue 75 of Midnight Suns. The hunter was against Gamagogorth, and you know, and it
Gamagogorth, the most famous of Marvel villains.
Classic.
It lets the Marvel Cinematic Universe exist within role playing and lets you create this hero or an anti-hero, and you get to play it in that different way, and I think that's so cool. So I'm super excited, and I'm like you, Chris. Like, I go deep, and then I end up quitting the game an hour in and changing the character. Yeah, it's character creator. I usually now make really quick decisions and try to change as little as possible. Like, I keep like a default. I don't fuck with the jawline. Because I end up going, that guy looks cool, and then he turns his head, and he's got like,
to the side. Oh my god, his head's a square.
Oh, he can lick his forehead. So I get that concern, but I think just like whatever the default is, if you're like, well, I wish the hair was this way, just do that, and like that's your default person. Like the character they had looked consistent. The female huntress, or I don't know. I think it's him, her, they is a hunter. It's just called the hunter. Looked really great, and I think that's probably the default female hunter. So thought it was really cool. Yeah. I'm super stoked for it. I couldn't be more excited for a Marvel game other than, you know, what Insomnia's doing, but this is even cooler because it's a totally different play style. So Chris, I'm a little bummed because I want to like experience this with you, and like,
let me, because you are right. You know, you would think that because I'm a fan of D&D, I would enjoy this type of game, but truth be told, my favorite part of D&D is the community aspect of D&D. So it's getting to act out, you know, a character that hasn't existed prior to you creating it with the other players and the people that you care about and you like to hang out with and drink with.
Like,
you know, so like it really is the communal aspect of D&D that I kind of gravitate toward. The role-playing portion is a bonus, you know, it's icing on the cake. And here, there are going to be no other real people. So
what did you like real community people like Garrus and like Jack?
Yeah. Yeah, like real people.
It seems like this game, again, the tactics thing I can understand, but it really seems like this game, from a story standpoint, was made for you. And that's what, like, it's kind of bad.
I'll probably consume the story through Let's Plays.
Before it's out.
The further we get into this conversation, the more Christian hates me.
Don't worry. He's gonna try and sell you on it in like whatever it is a year.
As soon as it
when
comes out. Yeah. He's been trying to get me to play the Square Enix Avengers game for like 2 years now. So,
But that game isn't good.
it's not good.
It's literally
not.
only community. I'm like, I just want to hang out with you and smash shit as the Hulk. You know, I will not sell you on any merits of that game other than it's like fodder for having fun with your friends and like wasting time. This game looks like it's going to be a great, grand role-playing comic book story with a very interesting gameplay we have not seen executed in this way in the Marvel Cinematic Universe with all these other things. And for that, Chris, you don't have to love everything. It's just I'm actually legitimately baffled at the reasons that you're like, it has a character creator, I'm done. Like,
we'll see. Maybe the closer we get to the game, I'll change my perspective. But based on what I saw in that presentation, I don't really want to spend $60 on it.
Swear to God, you play a game with a character creator and rave about it. I'm not going to let you live that down.
So that is Marvel's Midnight Suns that I'm sure, for better or worse, we will be talking about again here on the podcast. So moving on, we've got a new streaming show coming to Apple TV Plus that is starring and written and executive produced by Jason Segel called Shrinking. So he's doing this in collaboration with Bill Lawrence and Brett Goldstein, who are currently some of the showrunners on Ted Lasso. Bill Lawrence, widely known for his work on Scrubs as well. He was the creator of that show. The plot of the show, Shrinking, revolves around a grieving therapist played by Segel who begins to break the rules and tell his clients exactly what he thinks. Ignoring his training and ethics, he finds himself making huge changes to people's lives, including his own. So coming from this seems like on its face something that's problematic and rife with concerning social dynamics and power dynamics. But from these guys who have come off of Ted Lasso, which kind of took this spoof character and turned it into this beautiful piece of art, I have high hopes. Jason Segel has demonstrated he's hilarious and can definitely hold his own on the screen. And this is something that, I hadn't heard about until now. But what do you guys think of Jason Segel and Shrinking?
I'm very excited for this show, pretty much for all the reasons that you just mentioned. You know, I really like Jason Segel as a performer, and the creative team behind Ted Lasso is really knocking it out of the park. Season 2 of Ted Lasso is very likely going to end up on, once again, for a second year in a row, my best of 2021 television shows. We'll see what the rest of the year provides for us. But yeah, Apple, honestly, has really been knocking it out of the park with content. Surprisingly,
They're building up their base for sure.
For real, I did not expect this when they first announced that they were going to start a streaming service and they began acquiring all this content. But I have to say, I've been pleasantly surprised with most of the stuff that they've made. So with this creative team and Jason Segel being a really talented actor, I'm excited to see this show.
So yeah, that's Shrinking. That'll be coming to Apple TV Plus. Moving on. Okay, so Bob Iger was listening to our show last week and was just so smitten with us bringing up Home Alone when talking
about... Bob Chapek at this point.
Oh,
Bob
excuse
Iger,
me.
Yeah.
Yes, Bob Chapek. That they decided to finally release the long-awaited Home Sweet Home Alone trailer, the latest movie in the Home Alone franchise. That I know, Chris, we've all been clamoring for this. Everyone's asking for it. The plot of this movie, for those of you who are unfamiliar with,
I thought this was the fourth film in the Spider-Man MCU films.
Yes, they stole the name.
Spider-Man Home Sweet Home Alone.
So this follows a married couple who tries to steal back a valuable heirloom from a troublesome kid. And a little expansion on that, he is stuck at home, left at home by accident by his parents, which in today's day and age seems harder and harder to believe would happen. But for the sake of this movie and the silly fun that I'm sure it will be, you go along with it. We also have the return of an iconic character from the first two movies. The actor who played Buzz McAllister is playing his role. He's become a cop now, which no surprise.
I think that tracks.
Yeah, no surprise there. And Devin D. Rattray I apologize about pronunciation there, will be reprising his role there. So how do you guys feel about the Home Alone franchise? Did you watch these movies? Obviously, this is well below our age group in terms of who this movie is for at this point, but how do we feel about this?
I watch the original 2 Home Alone films every year at Christmas time.
Okay.
So I absolutely love those original films.
Is it for that amazing cameo in the second movie with that well-known New York icon? Oh, sorry. That's
Don't even invoke his name, Brian.
I'm sorry.
Summon terrible things to the show.
Are you talking about Rob Schneider? Why would it happen after a joke? The whole thing froze. Sorry, the whole thing froze after my joke. The whole
Say
thing.
Rob Schneider's, but
Hold on.
But yes,
oh God, our stream is a mess tonight. After I said the joke,
your videos.
What video watchers will see is both of you freezing, so no one knows if you thought my joke was funny. I certainly don't.
Oh, Brian and I both laughed at it very hard.
Yeah, for the record, for posterity.
And yes, we are talking about Rob Schneider. How dare you speak his name on this show? You know how much I hate him.
Makes sense.
So yeah, I really love those first 2 original movies. They're a staple of my childhood and a staple of my holiday season. As time went on, though, and they began making sequels, I believe that I watched the 3rd one when it originally came out because I was still like within the age demographic for it. But I kind of dropped off after that. This movie, out of all the sequels, looks the most like a faithful reboot of that original movie. Even the mother in the film is kind of dressed similarly and has a very similar look to Catherine O'Hara in the original movie.
They're playing off of her at the airport talking to the attendant as well, for sure.
So, this more than most seems like they're really trying to reboot this beloved film. God, I don't even really want to call it a franchise because I don't feel like it's a franchise. But, as I mentioned last week with I Know What You Did Last Summer, everything old is new again, right?
Oh, yes.
So they need to find a way to get the Home Alone movies to appeal to a younger audience, even though I really do think that original movie still holds up very, very well. Brian and I were kind of joking before the recording started that if Buzz McAllister is in the same universe, as if he's the same person, just older, working a day job as a cop, what this means is that this universe is full of neglectful parents. That's basically the staple of this Home Alone universe, is that parents just are terrible at knowing where their children are.
Sad but true. Have fewer kids, folks. Jeez.
You're saying the cinematic universe of the Home Alone series is filled with tropes of children being left home alone.
Yeah.
Tracks. I'm not mad about it. Whatever. I don't care. I don't care this film exists. We've been doing this for a long time, Star Wars is so precious. Oh my God, the original trilogy. Star Wars.
The Force Awakens is a New Hope.
Whatever.
With a different skin.
And the New Hope is just Kurosawa and magic. and Joseph Campbell. So, it is what it is. Who cares?
Yeah, I remember cavemen telling tales of parents leaving their cave children at home alone around a fire, even before the written word was a thing. It's all part of the monomyth, people.
And Enos, the first man, left the first son behind a jungle buggy.
Kronos sillily left his son Zeus at home all by himself.
Yeah.
We've gone completely off the rails
Deep
here.
cuts. Oh boy.
This
is what the viewers come here for.
That is going to be coming out this holiday season on Disney Plus exclusively. Moving into some stuff that's coming out this week.
Wait, this is on Disney Plus? That's like, it's just going to be Disney Plus?
Disney Plus.
Wow, that's great. That's perfect. I like this movie even more.
Okay.
I'm so excited. Anyway, Brian, continue.
Yeah, so some TV that's coming out this week. Coming to Peacock, we've got the dynamic duo themselves, Snoop Dogg and Martha Stewart, for Snoop and Martha's very tasty Halloween reality special. So this show is in the same vein as things like Nailed It, which I'm a giant fan of. Although I think this is going to be a little bit more professional. The summary for the show: Soup and Martha's Very Tasty Halloween is a competition special hosted by Snoop Dogg and Martha Stewart, featuring talented bakers who face off in a delectable Halloween showdown. So the bakers here are making large scale 12 by 12 full on Halloween events. So it's going to be absolutely insane. Everything's going to be edible. And then we're going to have these characters judge it for us. So this is we, in the very early days of the Pop-O-Holics, we did a Thanksgiving episode where we covered Cutthroat Kitchen, and I've become a little bit fond of these shows, even though I don't watch them often after having dug into that and watching shows like Nailed It. So if you have Peacock, Snoop and Martha's Very Tasty Halloween reality special is probably going to be a good time for you.
I believe,
and that'll be
Brian,
out Thursday.
No, I haven't updated IMDb. Let me just get this set real quick. I got to read it off the screen. The plot summary is actually Snoop and Martha have a child. He's about 8 years old, and they leave the house to go trick-or-treating, and they leave their son all alone. A jungle buggy.
Would also watch, just to be clear, producers who are listening. Bob Chapek. Make that happen.
Calling out Bob right on the pod. That's what the listeners come here.
He's a loyal listener. We appreciate him.
We know
for that.
Clearly. Many times.
So coming to Apple TV Plus this Friday, we have Invasion. So this is a series created by Simon Kinberg and David Weil, and stars Sam Neill, Shamir Anderson, Gulshiftan Farahani, and many others. And the plot for the show is an alien invasion is seen through the different perspectives of various people on different continents around the world. So, as we just talked about, Apple TV Plus has been doing some pretty solid work on the TV front. This is something that's probably not particularly new in terms of conceptually, but I think they're trying to go for something different with showing across the world this sort of phenomenon and what's happening here. And yeah, alien invasion, sci-fi fun. If you're into that, I'm sure this is something that's going to be worthwhile. And Sam Neill, who doesn't like some solid Sam Neill, right? So moving into some movies. It's a big week for movies, guys. First off, coming to HBO Max on Monday, we have Women is Losers. So this is written and directed by Lisette Feliciano and stars Lorenza Isso, Brian Craig, Chrissy Fitt, Simu Liu, and many others. And the plot of this is a young woman sets out to rise above poverty and invest in a future for herself. So this premiered at South by Southwest and got a lot of good attention there. And it's a drama. I'm sure it's going to be emotionally provoking and heavy, but yeah, that's coming to HBO Max this Monday. That's Women is Losers. All right, the long-awaited and coming to HBO Max and theaters.
Wait, are you about to talk about that Danny Villeneuve?
We are.
About to talk about that Danny
Villeneuve?
That Danny Villeneuve?
So yes, the epic science fiction film from Wikipedia directed by Denis
Wait, this is Wikipedia, the movie?
Yes. Denis Villeneuve does Wikipedia. It's just wiki, though. So this is the screenplay by Villeneuve himself, as well as John Spaints and Eric Roth, and is an adaptation of the 1965 book by Frank Herbert. So there's a notorious adaptation that was kind of a studio mess from David Lynch, which I haven't seen, surprisingly, in the 80s, kind of notoriously panned, considered to be a very bad movie. But this has been long awaited, kind of some controversy with the director, not happy about his movie going to HBO Max. Giant blockbuster. He thinks it should be seen on the biggest screen possible. But you know, for audiences, I'm sure they're very happy about this coming to HBO Max. It's a long-awaited title that I'm sure is going to be worth the wait, and I'm excited to see. So, yeah, a lot of big names in this one. Timothée Chalamet, Rebecca Ferguson, Oscar Isaac, Josh Brolin, Stellan Skarsgård, Dave Bautista, Zendaya. It's got everyone that money can buy. So the talent is there.
Are we talking about Knives Out 3, Brian?
A lot of crossover there, yes. But yeah, that's Dune. That'll be coming out on HBO Max and theaters this Friday.
I just saw the trailer for it for the first time, and I saw it in a theater.
Oh, wow.
When I saw
That's
Venom
the way
Let
to
There
do
Be
it.
Carnage. and it was ruined because the sound was too loud. Man, that is the type of fine wine experience that you're like, I need this to be like perf. I need this.
You
to be
need Dolby
perfect.
for Dune.
Yeah.
You need Dolby for Dune, or else it's just Dune. Where's my car? What a stupid. What the fuck does that even mean? Why do I have a podcast? What the hell am I talking about? Dune. Where's my car? I'm excited for this movie. I might see it. I say I might see it in theaters, but it's so hard when I'm just like, the button. My nice ass headphones that I'm not going to specifically call out, that I would have a better sound experience than the fucking Regal. Doesn't know what the hell to do with the sound other than turn it up loud. Ugh, it's hard, Brian. It's hard. I want to save the screen, but the screens can't save themselves.
They're not making it easy, certainly.
No.
Especially depending on the location. But we still love cinema. This is why we do what we do. I'm sure Dune will be enjoyable regardless of where you see it, though. Definitely do it wherever you feel comfortable.
Dune it up.
Dune.
Hey,
I'm not going to do it.
Hey, next time when I'm actually watching this movie, I'm going to text you and be like, boys, I'm doing it.
And then it's going to be a picture of you in your living room watching Dune with headphones on.
Probably.
So yeah, that'll be coming out Friday. Lastly, long awaited as well. Both of these movies were long delayed. We have The French Dispatch, the latest movie written and directed by Wes Anderson, with a story from Roman Coppola, Hugo Guinness, and Jason Schwartzman as well. Again, another movie with all of the actors. We've got Benicio del Toro, Adrian Brody, Tilda Swinton, Léa Seydoux, Frances McDormand, Timothy Chalamet.
Chalamet season, boys.
Jeffrey Wright, Bill Murray, Owen Wilson. It follows everyone, and its plot follows three different storylines as the French Foreign Bureau of a fictional Kansas newspaper creates its final issue. I'm a big Wes Anderson fan. There are... although I really liked his last movie, I think there are elements of it that are very tone deaf at best, even though it's a very beautiful movie, for Isle of Dogs in terms of racial dynamics and how characters are represented. But overall, I'm a big fan of all his movies, and I will definitely be checking out and talking about this one ASAP once I do. That is The French Dispatch. That'll be out in theaters this Friday. And that's it for the news this week, guys.
Two very stylistic, great screen movies. So it's good that COVID cases are down, because that means Christian going to the theater is going to go up, which is very exciting. Hey, I want to shout this on the YouTube page. Boys, before we get into plugs and then jump into what we've been consuming, before we let the YouTube watchers go, we're going to go see Final Fantasy VII in orchestra on Saturday.
Actually, by the time this airs, we will have already seen it.
I didn't realize there was going to be visuals too. I was just reading about it today.
It's going to be awesome.
That is so exciting.
Yeah, a very special experience. Glad we were able to nab some tickets for that.
Thank you, Christian, exciting. By the way, for doing
Honestly,
that.
This is like a surprise.
You procured us some like really dope seats.
As the great dude from
we're sitting on stage. Actually,
the great dude from Jurassic Park
said, in the lap of some of the instrumentalists.
As the great old man from Jurassic Park said, we spared no expense, as you saw when you were like, how much do the tickets cost again? I'm going to throw you some dough. And I was like, I'm sorry. That's what I said. But we are smack dab in the... I mean, it's going to be great. Well, I can't wait to tell people all about it. It's going to be so great. So it's very exciting. So look forward to our thoughts on that. It is the Final Fantasy VII Remake orchestral tour. First time going to one of these. I've always wanted to go. So I'm really excited that we're going to be having that on our consuming list next week. But gentlemen, before we cut away for the YouTube watchers and go into what we've been consuming, where can people find more of your work on the internet?
Viewers and listeners, you can find me on Twitter at Chris Conkling, talking about all things nerdy, comic books, television, movies, video games, collectibles. If it's nerdy, I'm talking about it.
You can find me over at True Pop-O-Holic for... If it's daddy, I'm joking about it.
Oh, he brought it back.
Asking for it. I'm sorry. Hey. This makes no sense. People are just going to think I'm strange, but whatever. Dad jokes. I got them for days.
Better than whatever the hell Dune Where's My Car is, because it's like, yeah, I guess there's logic there, but I think you just smoked too much pot in college. That's what
Ashton Kutcher and Sean William Scott in Dune Where's My Car.
What are we gonna
Watch
get?
it.
Spice? What's happening?
Dude, Spice.
And if you want to follow me and listen to my band's music, Midnight Satire, Positive NDA, now playing way cooler than I am as a person. A lot
It's
of
a
talented
banger.
people. It is a banger. It's an
Midnight
indie banger.
is.
A lot of times people made it happen, and it's way cooler than I am. And you can always subscribe to the Pop-O-Holics via the description below or the podcast description. There's a link to all of us around the social media, like Facebook, Twitter, all that stuff. Also, you can subscribe on YouTube. We do these video parts of this show as well as some video reviews. We're going to have a No Time to Die review on the YouTube. So subscribe to that to see our beautiful, wonderful faces. And email us, popholicscast@gmail.com. We want to hear from you. We read every single email we get. Rate us 5 stars on your favorite podcast player of choice. And subscribe on the YouTube page. We are almost to 100 subscribers. And
On the way
Close.
up.
you know,
Last time we checked, I think 71.
small potatoes in the world of YouTube, but I gotta say, I'm super proud. It's awesome, and it's super cool that people are interested in the content. So we'll be seeing our YouTube watchers later. If you want to listen to the rest of the episode, please subscribe on the audio feed. Bye.